Thank you for... Hello?
Hi, Grandma. It's Nico.
Oh, hi, Nico. I was hoping it was you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I was just sitting here at the table reading, and I couldn't stop. I just kept on reading.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's getting pretty good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, these stories that Steve Barry writes, are they true?
So I actually did some research yesterday and today about what was true and what was not, because I had no idea. I had not heard of a lot of these stories before.
Yeah, because he does a lot of his books, are like Nazis that have, things and things about the American Revolution and I just wondered if this was based on truth.
Yeah, so what I found, Le Vautour, the vultures,
Yeah.
that is not real.
That is not. How about the Cathars?
So the Catharism is a real thing that happens, and when he was describing, I think in like the 1400s, that
was it completely wiped out?
Yeah, so the Albigensian Crusades, what it talks about in the book, was actually done to eradicate Catharism because it was such a threat to the Catholic Church.
It was, and why did you feel that it was a threat to the Catholic Church?
Yeah, just because it was taking people away from Catholicism, and the ideals were also very different than like the traditional Catholic ways, because it was a lot of like immaterialism, and like the world was not, it was like kind of an evil place because everything was material. And that's what the Cathars believed. Even like the incarnation of Jesus Christ, they thought that Jesus was actually not human still. Even though that's like a very big thing in the Catholic belief, right? That he took the form of a human. But because they are so against like materialism, they thought Jesus was sent by God, but he was never actually a human.
Okay,
and didn't suffer.
How about Mary?
They didn't really talk about Mary in the one that I was doing research in, but I guess that just to say that Catharism was mainly just about like materialism, and they were really opposed the church, like the Vatican, because they saw like how rich it was and
how corrupt.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And like the true faith would be like, there is no money, like give all your possessions away, all of that stuff.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was in after chapter 35, but they were talking about Mary, how if she was the mother of God or of Jesus, then she would have been holy.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, I don't think I got to that part yet. But
okay.
What is like the general belief of?
Well, either the Catholic Church didn't recognize her as being holy until a little later, and then they had the Feast of the Immaculate Conception and all, and then they recognized it. and then it really talks about different parts of the Bible where it. Yeah, I mean, even in Revelations, where it talks about Mary being venerated and right up there.
Oh,
So,
right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know. But then the Cathars evidently believed. Did they believe in Mary?
I don't. The research I did didn't really talk about Mary.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
then you'll get into that. It's very deep, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the altarpiece was burnt, right?
Right.
It was destroyed.
Right. So are we just talking about the book or like real life now? Like
Well,
the fact checks.
what do you think? In the book, it's destroyed, right?
Right. So, yeah. I guess we can just start talking about the book from the beginning. Have you read other stories about this Nicholas Lee character?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
haven't.
No, it's pretty good. It kind of just threw us right into it, right? There was like a chase scene, like right at the beginning, and then the whole love dynamic too, with his like ex-fiance who canceled the wedding because she had a calling from God and couldn't ignore it.
Yeah, that Kelsey. Yeah.
Kelsey. Yeah.
And I think sometimes I think the author makes this Nick like like a guy that can do everything, like how he escaped from the nunnery,
Yeah, it's a little
I mean,
far-fetched, I think.
Yeah. That I thought was a little, who is he, a Marvel Man or something like that?
Right.
But,
and he's like able to follow people like pretty easily. Yeah, it just seems too easy for him, and like he was able to fight back. So they didn't really talk about his training. I guess he was in the military, but that was it. And he's like a spy investigator, but not really a spy. He's just an investigator for the United Nations. Yeah, it's interesting.
I know. Yeah.
So then he got the laptop, and that person was like shot by the police like immediately, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I wonder if that'll come back.
I think so too.
If somebody meant to shoot her.
Right. I'm thinking it's part of like the Vatican, because they don't want that out, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a lot. Now, I've been looking at, it says in the inside of the book of the other novels. Now, the Romanov prophecy, that's all about that. The Alexander, the Charlemagne, these are all about history things, which I've read. The Jefferson Key, that's about the Revolution. The 14th colony, the Lost Order. It's amazing how he can go back into history and find these things and research them and write about them.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Because I had never heard of the Just Judges or this Ghent altarpiece before either. Have you?
No.
Yeah.
No, never.
Right. So
And,
that's actually, it is a real altarpiece, and the Just Judges is like one of the panels that actually has been. It's like the most stolen piece of art like ever. So that is true, and it's actually still lost. So in the story, like Kelsey found it behind like the copy, but today, actually, no one knows where it is still. But I think that's where,
interesting, isn't
right?
it?
That's kind of like
Yeah.
where he got this whole idea from, though, because it's been stolen so much, and he's like, oh well, what if someone found it and there's like a secret? So like, I think it's a really cool idea, and it's cool that he found a way to write about it.
Well, and he's a history buff. I mean, he does a lot of things. He has his hand in a lot of history things for historical preserving of different things, like in the Smithsonian and all. He's some author that really dives into that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of explanation too about like the Cathars and the Crusades and Joan of Arc. I honestly wasn't too familiar with the story of Joan of Arc before this, so then I did a little bit of research. But yeah, that was really cool too to like look into, and that's where the whole Louvateurs came into play. Like they were like maidens, like this is all fiction, but Joan of Arc was one of these Louvateurs, and they got her remains, right, and like hid them away.
Yeah, she was one of the maidens of the Saint Michael. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
It is interesting. We were over in France and saw where she was burned at the stake. You know.
Yeah.
They show that.
Wow, that seems really cool.
She was very young. She was like a teenager.
Yeah, and she was like, you know, in the front lines of the French-English, like, war, right?
And then she was captured and sold. And then she was, but they said, you know, that I read too that they had, you know, ripped her and left her naked to be on the cross, because some people said that she was really a man.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about the story. What I found was that she was like a peasant farmer, and then she had like she had visions.
Correct.
And this was when there was a lot of like war between England and France was losing the war at the time. So she like tried to go up to the French generals and be like, hey, I have this vision where the French king like is sitting on the throne and we drive the English out. And then they like are skeptical, but she is like very charismatic, but also they quiz her as well on like the faith, and she is like pretty knowledgeable. And after they believe in her, they send her like to the front lines, thinking she'll die and be like a martyr, but she keeps on getting injured, but like narrowly escaping death. So then there was kind of this mysticism surrounding her that she's like an angel, and like she's invincible, and but it really rallied the French troops to think that they had like, you know, an angel fighting with them.
Right? Sure, somebody they felt she was a saint.
Yeah.
And you know, she came from God, and she was their messenger, and she was going to lead them.
Right. Yeah, and she was like a very big turning point. But then you're right, she got captured, and then she was tried by the English church, and I think they like condemned her on the count of heresy. That's like or like that she got visions from God, but they were like, that's not real. You're just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it was against the church to cross-dress because she was dressing like a boy. I think it was easier for her to travel throughout France and like more hidden if she acted had like short hair and dressed like a boy. So, but yeah, super interesting stuff that I had never
But it's
knew.
interesting that she was sold. She was captured, I think, by the English, wasn't she? And then she was sold back because who burned her?
I think it was the
French.
I think it was the English.
Did they?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember that. I didn't remember which it was.
I think the English did. She was captured, I think, by some random lord or like some random town, and then sold to the English. And because of like all of the stuff she did, they wanted to kill her on any grounds for anything, but they just wanted to kill her. And I think they burned her like 3 times, like even her ashes. Yeah. And she wasn't like turned into a saint until after, like a couple decades after she was killed, I think. But it's interesting. I didn't know all this stuff. I know.
I just love history like this, And but I like to know if it is really true. You know what I mean? Or if he's just kind of making it up,
Right.
to make a good story.
Right. And it's actually interesting too, where I told you that Cathars were real, Catharism, but a lot of the historical documents about them, there is not a lot. And, history is written by the victors, so...
Sure.
Because they were an enemy...
Of the church.
Right, so we don't really actually know the true beliefs of them, just what was written down by the church.
That's right.
And there's also theories that Catharism was never really a real ideal. It was just an excuse that the church used to gain land and to start more crusades.
And to extend their power.
Exactly.
Yes.
That it was just a fictional thing that they made up so that they were able to, think justly. Oh, we need to cleanse.
Yeah. And then they say it was them. It's amazing how they, according to history, they had them all in this stronghold, and they said you renounce your faith, your Cathar faith, and if they didn't, they herded them in a place and burned them all.
Yeah, I heard that was. I think the words that were in the book were directly in like a video that I watched too, where it was like, burn them all. God will know his own, or something like that. If you remember that line, but that was also said in some of the research, so I think that was more just a way to portray how the Crusades were, like they were just pretty ruthless, even if they were just civilians, not even like Cathars.
Well, there's a thing we didn't talk about the child molesting.
Oh yeah.
With a priest.
Yeah, so that was really interesting too. It was like a couple different storylines going on at the same time, and trying to figure out how they're all related. I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm still a little behind you, but yeah. So
well, the guy that had the, I wondered in the very beginning, and it talked about them, like waterboarding the
oh yeah.
that priest, and killing him. And I thought, now what does this have to do with the main part of the story?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's beginning to come back. And this art collector, his real father,
Right.
is this archbishop,
Right, Villemer.
And
Yeah. That's kind of right where I'm at. And that was like a pretty crazy revelation that he like denounced that he has a son, even though like the mother.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that happened.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. And then you kind of, even though it's true, you actually believe it's not true, because if it was, like, you wouldn't be able to live with yourself, so you kind of just like have your own reality. It's like, oh, that's not my son.
Yeah, because you'd say, well, if I'm a true believer,
Right.
I wouldn't believe that they were that sinful and committed that.
Yeah.
But
it just goes.
I read another book that had all about that sex with kids, and it was a present day up in Boston, and there was a young priest, not that young, I mean 30s, 40s, and he was really, in the book, he was very, very attuned to present day and tried to help people, and really wasn't a sex predator,
Mm-hmm.
but someone accused him of it. And he was brought and investigated by the church. And he was condemned. As soon as people said that he did this,
Mm-hmm.
everybody believed he did it.
Right.
And he really didn't. And his family was very religious, and they stuck by him, but it was very hard, especially up around Boston, where there are so many Catholics,
Right.
And that was, and it's rough today too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the.
If somebody says, if a kid comes up and says somebody molested me, right away that's sensationalism.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, even if it's not true, it's just like the ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
People can kind of believe what they want to believe.
And I think this is, Steve Berry is bringing that into the book too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of good stuff too about I think talking about the Catholic Church and bringing to light, like, there was a lot of kind of corrupt stuff that happens. It's not always been good.
There was with anybody that was ruling. And
Exactly.
Goodness, Nico, it's that way today.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of corruption.
Yeah, and it just has to do with power, I think, right? Like, if you
Correct.
have power, you want to keep the power, and you'll kind of do anything to keep
breeds
it.
corruption, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and greed. And, when you have power, it feels like you can do anything.
You're above the law.
Right. And I remember the story about the kid who is now like a Cathar. That whole story where it was like, this was the priest of the town. Like, how was I going to talk to anybody about this? Like, he was like a father to me. And then does this stuff to like all the kids. So, but like, that's like a scary thing that has happened, and they just abuse the power from church, and especially if they're believers. It's like, this person is like very holy and from God. So
It couldn't happen to him. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's
But-
crazy.
Yeah, it's a very interesting book. It brings to mind a lot of different subjects, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like the secrecy idea too, of like secret orders and like hidden messages in the work, in the art. But actually, Jan van Eyck, the person that made
Made the older piece.
that guy is real. So he's the one that actually made this Ghent altarpiece.
Well, now, during the Second World War, did the Nazis steal this?
Yeah, the Nazis took it, but that panel, the Just Judges, was still missing. So then they even tried to find it, but couldn't find it, and that's the one that's still missing today. But yeah, the Nazis took it too.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Well, I'm enjoying the book. In fact, I can hardly put it down.
Yeah.
Because I thought, about an hour ago, I thought, oh, well, I'll just review what I've read, you know. And I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to continue.
Yeah.
So, do we want to read to the end the next time?
Yeah, let's read to the end and do it next Sunday as well, if that's cool.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Does this time work for you?
That time is fine.
Okay, cool.
You know. Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. So I have a couple more job leads. I've got one interview in person on Monday, so like a final round, and then another one on Wednesday, final round.
Well, that sounds very promising.
Yeah, they're good
I
companies.
wish you the best. Would these be located in Portland or Seattle?
So these are both in Portland. Some of them are a little bit far away. One of them's like a 45-minute drive. The other one's like 20. But they seem like good positions. One is like a manufacturing engineer role, and the other one's like a quality role for
Well,
Yeah.
I wish you a lot of success, and I hope that your search gets you what you want. You know, because you have now sort of fine-tuned what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Good.
these are just two that have gotten back to me, but I'm waiting to hear back on one of them, and on a couple actually. One of them is for an aerospace company, like defense contractor, which is a space that I've been wanting to get into for a while. But the one I really would like is working for the county that we live in, Multnomah County Transportation Division, as a senior quality inspector. So I would be inspecting all of the bridges in Multnomah County and also supervising the construction of like $1 billion highway bridge.
Boy, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. That one would be really cool because I really like the bridges out here. There's so many because the city runs, or the river runs right through the city, so there's a ton of bridges, and to say like I could put my mark or stamp on it, that would be really cool.
The other night I was watching something on public television about the building of the Eiffel Tower. You know, that was all, I guess I realized that it was all metal. you know.
Yeah,
And it was, and right away I thought about you because, you know, they were talking about how they would make the foundation for this thing, you know, and all these, how they had to force different things out so the people could be digging down and get the foundation and put sand down there. It was very interesting. And I thought about you because it was getting all this metal to fit just so precisely when they started to go up, you know.
right.
It was really something. I thought, boy, that's right up Nico's line, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And did you know that there's no welding on it? It's all rivets.
Yes, that's what I was feeling, and it had to be so finely tuned that it had to just fit exactly.
Yeah.
No,
especially with
oh,
all of the pounds of weight.
Oh boy, everything had to just match and fit, and no leeway, no nothing, you know.
Yeah, I can't
and
imagine.
Look at it. It's fine now. Look at it. Oh.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that.
Have you been up on that?
No, I've actually never been to France before. So
well,
it's
that's something to see. I mean, you know, it's just a landmark that I always thought of as a landmark, but I really didn't realize that it's just a bunch of metal, really, packed together.
Yep.
You know, and then platforms on different levels. So
yeah, that's definitely.
It's not the tallest now, but it was for years, you know. So,
right. Yeah, that's definitely on our list.
I had to think of you. I thought, oh boy, this is just up Nico's alley. You know, they were talking about how this metal had to just fit exactly, and how these, you know, rivets or whatever they put in, that it just had to be just right, you know.
Right.
So.
Super cool.
Yeah. Well, and how is Kayla doing?
Kayla's doing well. We had a little bit of a Halloween party get together with some of her friends last night. So it was really fun.
Oh, great. Good.
Oh, yeah, and I actually am part of the what's it called? The library here. So I got they had this book, so that's why I wanted to do this book first. And it's making I checked out a couple other books, so it's making me read them, you know, faster. Because I have to give them back.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's good. Very good. Well, it's been great. The folks, I think they went to that wedding in Pennsylvania this weekend. You know,
yeah, Mayan.
Filipino lady that her son was being married.
Yeah, Mayan, I think it was. Yep.
And then they were going to stay at the endresses.
Yeah, so I actually FaceTimed with them yesterday because they were with Aunt Susie and Uncle Andy, so I got to catch up with them a little bit, which is nice.
Oh, good. Did you see pictures of the baby?
Yeah, Eric's new baby, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, his wedding was last year, which flew by. And David is dating a teacher, but it sounds like he's gonna propose soon. And AJ just proposed to his girlfriend, so a lot's happening.
Well, now, who was the one that was over in England with you guys the other Christmas?
Yeah, so last Christmas David was with us, and David is the school teacher, and I remember him talking about his current girlfriend because they had just started dating last year, but it seems like things are going really well with them.
I can remember when your folks were married, and Annie and Susie had one of the parts in the Filipino part of the wedding. You know, I don't know if it was the veil or the rope, or it was one of those. But they came to the wedding, and they were just a young married couple, and they had a little baby with them. It was their first, you know.
Eric.
And you know, that was many, many years ago. That's when your folks were married.
Right.
But they already had their first baby. So, and evidently that's the one that had the baby now.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Time.
Okay. And of course, Susie, I imagine she is just, wow. Being a nurse and all, I imagine she just wants to be hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll be glad when the folks get back, and I think this week they're going to be. If I hope I'm right, I think they're going to be heading down with the U-Haul down to North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Because they're doing Thanksgiving there. I think they got to start setting up stuff.
I think they were down in the basement working last week, and sort of you know, I guess we're deciding what they want to take down there for sure. And they put a lot of that stuff in the garage, so that when they come by with the U-Haul, you know, they can just, instead of going down in the basement, they can just load it up from the garage. It'll be easier. It won't take as long either.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I hope everything goes well for them. And are you going to be coming in for Thanksgiving, or don't you know yet?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you just were here after all. How's your ankle doing?
Oh, it's better, but it still hurts after running. I went on a little run yesterday, and it hurts again today. So I'm not sure what it is, but maybe it's just how my body works.
And have you been doing any more climbing?
Yeah, here and there, definitely. It's been really fun. Yeah, I'm not injured anymore, which is good.
Okay. Well, hey, it's so nice to catch up with you, Nico, and talk to you about the book too. I appreciate your thoughts on it. You know, you have a different slant, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So.
Well, we'll get together then.
Next Sunday.
Next week?
Yeah, next Sunday at 3.
Okay. I'll look forward to it.
Me too.
And you take care. Love ya.
All right. Love you too, Grandma. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.